Yesterday, the UK government began multiple arrests of migrants for deportation. Videos were released on many social media platforms showing how police were doing the arrests. According to the video's release, the UK Labour government said they'd made over 600 arrests of migrants in January who were working illegally in the UK. Arrests were made after 828 raids were made in January alone at businesses like stores, bars and restaurants, car washes, etc. The Home Office said, "The UK government said they want to stop smuggling gangs promising people false jobs that do not exist in the UK just to sell spaces on their boats."
Counter-terror style powers for our law enforcement to be able to go after the people smuggling and the trafficking gangs.
I'm looking through these punitive new sanctions, jail terms for certain crimes committed by smuggling gangs, but don't the vast majority of these sanctions you're talking about here apply to criminals who aren't in the UK? They're on the continent, they're not under your jurisdiction.
Well, we know that there are gangs and people who are based in the UK who are involved in maybe supplying the boats or organising routes, or who are involved in organising a lot of the people smuggling. And
before we continue, if you've not already, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for upcoming updates. Yesterday, the UK government commenced a wave of arrests targeting migrants for deportation, sparking widespread debate and concern across social media platforms. Videos surfaced showing police conducting these arrests, revealing the stark reality faced by many undocumented workers in the country. This initiative comes as part of a broader strategy to combat illegal immigration, particularly focusing on those working without proper documentation in the UK. The UK Labour government reported that over 600 arrests of migrants were made in January alone, highlighting a significant uptick in enforcement actions against illegal employment. These arrests followed a staggering 828 raids conducted at various businesses, including stores, bars, restaurants, and car washes. The Home Office has taken a firm stance, emphasising that these actions are necessary to dismantle smuggling networks that prey on vulnerable individuals seeking better opportunities in the UK. One of the primary motivations behind this crackdown is the government's intention to disrupt smuggling gangs that exploit migrants. These gangs often promise false job opportunities, luring individuals into the country with the hope of a better life, only to leave them stranded and vulnerable. The Home Office has pointed out that these gangs not only endanger the lives of migrants, but putting them in precarious situations, but also undermine the integrity of the UK's immigration system. The government's narrative frames these gangs as predators, profiting from the desperation of individuals seeking refuge or a better life. The promise of employment is often a ruse, with many migrants discovering that the jobs they were led to believe existed are, in fact, non-existent. This exploitation raises ethical questions about the treatment of migrants and the responsibilities of both the government and society at large. Recent arrests and raids have sent shockwaves through migrant communities in the UK. Many individuals live in constant fear of being apprehended, which creates a climate of anxiety and uncertainty. The fear of deportation looms large, particularly among those who may have established lives in the UK, contributing to the economy and society despite their undocumented status. Moreover, the crackdown raises concerns about the broader implications for human rights. Critics argue that the government's approach disproportionately targets vulnerable populations, often resulting in family separations and emotional distress. The trauma associated with such arrests can have lasting effects, not only on the individuals directly involved, but also on their families and communities. The public response to these arrests has been mixed. Supporters of the government's actions argue that illegal immigration undermines the labour market and puts pressure on public services. They contend that the government is right to take decisive action against those who flout immigration laws. Proponents argue that maintaining control over borders is essential for national security and the integrity of the immigration system. Conversely, many human rights advocates and community organizations have decried the government's tactics. Critics argue that these arrests do little to address the root causes of migration and may further alienate vulnerable populations. Many organizations have called for a more compassionate approach, one that recognizes the humanity of migrants and addresses their needs rather than solely focusing on enforcement. The economic implications of illegal migration are complex. On one hand, undocumented workers often fill essential roles in sectors like agriculture, hospitality, and construction. Many of these jobs are difficult to fill, and migrants frequently take on labor-intensive tasks that are crucial to the functioning of the economy. The removal of these workers could exacerbate labor shortages and disrupt industries that rely heavily on migrant labor. On the other hand, the government argues that illegal employment undermines wages and working conditions for all workers. They contend that by enforcing immigration laws and targeting illegal work, they are protecting the rights of legal workers and ensuring fair competition within the labor market. This perspective frames the crackdown as a necessary measure to uphold labor standards and promote economic fairness. The legal framework surrounding immigration enforcement in the UK is intricate. While the government has the authority to conduct raids and make arrests, questions arise regarding the treatment of migrants during these operations. Reports of heavy-handed tactics and lack of due process have raised alarms among civil rights groups. Critics argue that the methods employed can be disproportionate and may violate the rights of individuals, particularly those seeking asylum or refuge from persecution. In light of the current situation, there are calls for a comprehensive review of the UK's immigration policies. Advocates argue for reforms that prioritise pathways to legal employment for migrants, recognising their contributions to society, while also addressing the challenges posed by illegal immigration. Implementing a system that allows for legal avenues of migration could mitigate the need for desperate individuals to resort to smuggling networks. Additionally, there is a growing demand for increased support for migrants who may be vulnerable to exploitation. Community organisations are advocating for resources that help migrants navigate the system, access legal aid, and secure safe employment. By addressing the root causes of illegal migration and creating supportive frameworks, the government could foster a more just and equitable immigration system. In navigating these challenges, the UK has an opportunity to redefine its approach to immigration, one that balances enforcement with compassion and recognises the humanity of those seeking a better life. The path forward will require careful consideration of the diverse perspectives involved, as well as a commitment to creating a more equitable and just society for all.